So cold weather can be brutal on your fragrances, and I'm talking about like some seriously brisk cold weather. When you start getting into the single digits, real feel, or actual temperature, that's where things can fall apart pretty quickly. A lot of things you may decide to pick up and wear that day might turn into a skin scent. They just get completely nuked in the freezing cold weather. So today we have 12 fragrances to try to compete with that cold, brisk, frigid, miserable weather. So what I'm kind of looking for here in fragrances for this video is going to be twofold. One, I'm looking for good performers. They don't have to be mega monstrous performers. It does help, but they don't have to be. Primarily, what really will make the difference is the actual scent itself, the compound, the depth, the richness, the impact that the fragrance has. I'm not looking for things that are smooth and silky and creamy and just super delectable and sweet. I'm looking for things that have some texture, some roughness, some spiciness, and just a lot going on that really kind of hits you in the face when you smell these. So we're looking for some powerhouses here for sure in both stretches of the word. So I will provide links to these down below to discounters so you can get these at the prices I talk about in this video. I'm posting deals every day, all day on my community tab. A whole bunch of rare stuff over there. Dior Homme Parfum, Dior Homme Original, Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme, stuff like that that's hard to get. A lot of you guys have been able to get it because you're subscribed. You've also had the chance to win $500. I'm doing giveaways over there every month as well. So it pays to be subscribed. Hit that button before we start and thank me later. Alrighty, let's get it going with AZZARO Pour Homme Intense. It has been too long since I've been able to talk about this because it's been out of stock forever, which sucks, but it's back, which means now I could talk about it. At least at the time of me recording this, and hopefully by the time you watch this, if you're watching it 3 weeks from now, it's safe to say it might not be in stock. So again, it pays to be subscribed. Now this has rum, it has lavender, it has cinnamon. If you've smelled AZZARO Pour Homme before, this will smell familiar to you, but what this has is a booziness and a sweetness and a spiciness that the original lacks. And this is a million times better than the original in my opinion. This is what a true good flanker looks like. Something that still plays off that original a little bit, but they bring more heat. It packs more of a punch. It has great performance. It's affordable, and the scent itself has a lot of impact. This stuff does a very good job of holding up against some of the coldest winter days. And as you can tell by mine, it's looking a little bit pathetic down there at the end. So I wear through this stuff pretty hard. Now in temperatures like this, I do spray heavy, so that's another tip for you guys. Don't be afraid to apply extra when it's super, super cold outside. Not gonna hurt anything. So hammer down on stuff like this when it's super cold and you'll have great results. Kind of sticking with the more affordable trend, we could go for something like JOOP Homme Absolute. So the original JOOP DNA is not really for me, it's too syrupy sweet. However, it could actually be a great fragrance for this video. In fact, it would be. So if you like it or you don't care what it smells like, you just want something to cut through the cold air, even if you don't like it, JOOP Homme, the original, will do that so easily. But I wanted to feature something that I kind of like the smell of better, and so I'm going with this. It has incense, black pepper, a little bit of ylang-ylang freshness, some other sweet notes in here, a little bit of tonka, but really it's all about that incense and pepper to give it a spicy, smoky, strong, just overall demanding smell. Like I said, this is pretty affordable on discounters, usually $40 range, and it's definitely above average in the performance category for that price, and it works great when it's super cold. Following along with that, we have Stronger With You Oud by Emporio Armani. So probably just about any flanker, I guess, could work for this. The original, though, I probably wouldn't pick. I wouldn't pick Freeze or Only either. So actually, I don't know what I was talking about. I guess the ones that could work still would be Intensely, Absolutely, and Leather maybe. But personally, I think when you're talking about the coldest of cold days, Oud is going to be the one to go for, because that oud accord in here, while it's not super strong, it does help give it more substance, more depth, and more push overall. Let's go with a niche scent up next, MONTALE Ristretto Intense Cafe. This one has coffee, it's got rose, and a little bit of oud in here as well, some other sweet accords like vanilla. It is a really powerful scent. Now there's coffee to a pretty heavy extent, but there's also the other notes that I listed, rose, oud. This might push it in the slightly maybe unisexual direction. It might push it in a direction that a lot of you guys wouldn't like. So sample first if you can, approach it with caution. It's not going to be your typical men's smelling scent, basically. But it is a powerhouse, and it works great for completely destroying the cold weather. Next up, BVLGARI Man in Black. This one has basically the Spice Bomb DNA, but with a boozy rum accord. And ultimately what that does is it makes it a little bit more mature, a little bit more overall mass pleasing to me, because it still is very spicy like Spice Bomb, but it's a little bit more smooth and refined. And I think Spice Bomb to some people can be a bit like nails on a chalkboard. It's just way too much, way too out there, and way too strong, even in its delivery. Like not even just performance, but it's just overwhelming. This one kind of does a good job of playing on that DNA, but making it a little bit more digestible for most people. But one thing is for sure, this one still dominates the cold weather effortlessly and is a must-have in any guy's collection, in my opinion. You don't really hear about this one every day. It's Valentino Uomo Noir Absolu Oud Essence. I had to double check. Kind of a long name. Valentino Uomo Noir Absolu Oud Essence. So it's an eau de parfum. The name is on the bottom. There's a Valentino Uomo Noir Absolu. Just that's where it is, and that's a sandalwood scent. It's discontinued. It's really good. You just can't get it anymore. But this you can still get on discounters for a pretty good price, given that it's a little bit more of an exclusive edition here. And it's really, really nice if you could handle a little bit of oud. It's got oud, leather, and sandalwood, of course. And it smells fantastic. Really nice. But what it also does have is that oud breaking up the texture, making it a little bit more kind of forward in terms of its delivery. The leather gives it a masculine approach, and it's kind of a stronger leather accord here to really kind of rough it up and just make it stand out. A really nice one when it's super cold out. Going back to the more affordable side, we have CERRUTI 1881 Signature. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Cool bottle. You can get these usually for around $30, $35, maybe pushing $40 on discounters. This has leather, cardamom, black pepper. The way I've described this one loosely is that it's kind of like a leathery La Nuit de l'Homme. And I love saying that just because when you say it fast, it sounds so stupid. It's a leathery La Nuit de l'Homme, right? It sounds completely ridiculous. And like I said, I say that loosely. This isn't a La Nuit de l'Homme clone. It just isn't. But it does have the cardamom, lavender approach with some other spices and then some leather thrown in. And you do get kind of a little bit of a La Nuit de l'Homme twist, although not enough to call it a clone again. But just to kind of give you a ballpark idea of what this one is about, that's kind of how I like to describe it, because a lot of people like La Nuit de l'Homme, but they don't love it because it's not masculine enough. And this is, the leather really amps this up. And I'm telling you guys, one of the more impressive leather fragrances I've smelled in this price point. It's there and it's strong and it's kind of an animalic, earthy, textured leather that you don't get, and even some more expensive fragrances, let alone stuff that's this affordable. So it's a really good one that does great when it's cold out. Let's keep it moving with Armani Code Absolu Gold. Now this one here has iris thrown in the mix with some orange and tonka bean, vanilla and suede. Has a little bit of a spicy kick to it as well, some sweetness for sure, and that combination really helps this one to stand out in the super cold weather. You could go for Code Profumo, you could even go for the original Absolu. Really, they would all work really well, but I kind of wanted to toss this one into the mix because it's not spoken about as much, and I like the addition of iris in here. I think it works really well. Let's keep it moving with Spice Bomb Infrared. Now this one has cinnamon, red fruits, and tobacco in here. So pretty similar to the original, but what it separates it with is that kind of fruitiness that this has, which I really like a lot. And don't get me wrong, I love Extreme, I love the original. They're all really, really good. But this is a nice little refreshing twist on this already iconic DNA that I really enjoy. And it's just kind of another one that you could toss into the mix if you like Spice Bomb, but maybe you're a bit burnt out on it, you want a little bit of a different approach, you could go for this one here. You know, at this point, it's not a groundbreaking scent. It's something that we've all smelled before. But if you just want something that cuts through the cold air, this DNA never fails. Let's keep it moving with Dolce & Gabbana Velvet Incenso. So this has incense. There's some black pepper in here, a little bit of a smoky, kind of resinous smell also, along with that incense. Some creaminess to it as well, some sandalwood and that sort of thing. I really like this a lot because it's so different. You know, the note breakdown can always kind of leads you in the wrong direction. There's nothing that's super unique about the note breakdown of this one, but this doesn't smell like anything else that I have, and I think that's pretty cool, especially coming from Dolce & Gabbana. You know, kind of think of this as just their private blend edition or a line from Dolce & Gabbana, because it's significantly more expensive. I guess not crazy more expensive, but more expensive than the others from the brand. And usually your standard size will be the 50 ml bottle, which is more than enough. Doesn't take a lot of this, but this is going to be a little bit more refined, a little bit more upscale and classy, and a little bit more mature. Not going to be for the younger guys out there as much, so do be aware of that. But it's a really nice one that does great when it's super cold. This next one will be for the younger crowd. If you want something loud and obnoxious that cuts through the cold air and just gets a bunch of attention, Versace EROS Parfum. So you could put in Flame, that would probably work. The Eau de Parfum would work, and for some, the Eau de Toilette would still work. I just think if you're buying EROS now in 2022, about to be 2023, and you don't have any EROS yet, personally, I think you're best to put your money into the Parfum. This isn't even crazy expensive anymore now that it's on discounters. Now, when it's full retail, it's $140. That's a lot of money, okay? For an EROS, that's a lot. But you can get this on discounters for $70, $72 for a tester, sometimes as low as $65, $66 for a tester. And I do believe the testers do come with the cap. Full presentation could be $75, $80. So not a cheapie, but still, when you think about it, if you have to get the EDT and maybe apply more, you have to do double the sprays of the EDT. At that point, it just makes sense to buy the Parfum. Save yourself some money, get better performance, less frustrations, and regardless, it cuts through the cold air amazingly. Amazingly. Don't know if that's a word or not, but it is now. And last up, KILIAN Black Phantom. So I love the brand. It's actually one of my favorite niche brands. I don't talk about them a ton just because I don't think there's as much interest from you guys. It's not like a Parfums de Marly or even a Creed or something where they just get talked about all the time. But it's kind of my go-to brand when I want gourmands and boozy fragrances. You take a look at Straight to Heaven, one of the best boozy scents ever made in my opinion. I love it. Have all versions of it. It's amazing. Intoxicated, one of my favorite coffee scents on the niche side of things. Apple Brandy, another one of my favorite boozy scents ever. It's so photorealistic. This one's kind of going to be a mixture of some of those, not like smell-wise because it doesn't smell like any of those, but what I mean by that is you get some coffee accords and some boozy accords and some other sweet chocolatey accords. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So kind of smells a little bit to me like an Irish cream, you know, like Bailey's Irish cream. I've always described it as just smelling like that. You know, when you splash some of that in your coffee in the morning or whatever. It's kind of just what it reminds me of a little bit. Another one that smells great during the holiday season, big performer, big projector, and it really has so much body to it that it has no problem at all cutting through the cold winter air. This would be a great one to wear Christmas morning, going early and going and visiting all your family and stuff when it's super cold outside. This one will stick with you all day long. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. 12 fragrances that will completely destroy the cold with no problem whatsoever. Links to these will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.